Hello reception, today is Friday and we are going to have our story time. So I've got for you one of our ladybird picture books of Hansel and Gretel, and I just want to show you mums and dads. These were 69p in Home Bargains. They're really good quality, lovely books. So once all the shops are open again and it's safe to go out, it's definitely worth having a trip to places like Home Bargains for some extra books to read at home if you want to. Right, Hansel and Gretel. This is a traditional tale, so it's being retold by the author Ronnie Randall and illustrated by Ailey Busby. Hansel and Gretel. Hansel and Gretel lived with their father, a poor woodcutter, in a little cottage in the forest. When Hansel and Gretel's mother died, their father married again. Hansel and Gretel's new stepmother was a selfish and mean, the cruelest woman they'd ever seen. She does look quite miserable and grumpy. One night, when the children were in bed, Hansel and Gretel's stepmother said, "Husband, we only have food for one more day. We must send Hansel and Gretel away, otherwise we will all starve." "What will we do?" Father said no, but stepmother said they have to go. "I'll look after you." Later that night, Hansel crept outside and collected some pebbles. In the morning, when Father took the children into the forest, Hansel dropped the pebbles as they walked. Father told Hansel and Gretel to wait for him, but he didn't come back, and soon it was dark. But the pebbles shone white in the bright moonlight to show Hansel and Gretel the way home. "By the light of the moon, we'll get home soon." Hansel and Gretel walked through the night till they get home. Father was so happy to see them, but the stepmother was cross. "Naughty children," she said. "I'll show you who's boss." She told Father he must take the children back into the forest and leave them there. It's not kind, is it? You shouldn't do that for your children. When Hansel went down to collect more pebbles, he found the door was locked. Oh no. The next morning, Father took Hansel and Gretel deep into the forest. He gave them bread to munch for their lunch, and Hansel used some of it to make a trail of crumbs. That's a good idea, but oh no, what are these birds up to? "At the end of the day, the crumbs will help us find our way," he whispered to Gretel. Father told Hansel and Gretel, "I'm going to chop some wood. Children, please be good and wait for me here." But he never came back. Gretel cried. "We're all alone." Hansel replied, "The crumbs will see us home." But the crumbs were all gone. "The birds have eaten them. What will we do?" "I'll look after you." By the morning, Hansel and Gretel's tummies were rumbling and grumbling with hunger. Suddenly, just ahead, they saw a house made of gingerbread. "A house made of sweets! A house we can eat!" An old woman poked out her head. "Come inside, my dears," she said. "This way, children." But the old woman was a witch. She locked Hansel up and gave Gretel a mop. "Do the housework," she said. Oh dear. Every day the witch told Gretel, "Cook your brother some tasty food. When he's nice and fat, he'll taste good and I will eat him. I like to eat little boys." Oh no. She really is a mean and evil witch. Ooh. That's a terrifying face. Every morning the witch told Hansel, "Hold out your finger so I can feel if you're fat enough to make a meal." Not fat enough yet. However, Hansel knew the witch couldn't see and her eyes were so sore and red, so he tricked her and held out a bone instead. So she's going to feel that little skinny bone and think he's not fat enough to eat. Phew, what a good idea. One day the witch couldn't wait any longer. "I'm going to cook and eat Hansel," she said. "Gretel, light the oven now." Gretel replied, "But I don't know how." The nasty witch cried, "Just crawl inside. Look, I'll show you how to do it right." Gretel pushed the witch in and shut the door tight. "Go, Gretel, go! What an excellent plan!" Gretel unlocked the cage. She and Hansel could go. "I'm free!" But first they went round the cottage, looking high and low. They opened a door and oh, what a sight! They found piles of jewels, all sparkling bright. Hansel and Gretel soon found their way home, where their father was waiting all alone. "I'm so glad you're back. Your stepmother has gone," he said, hugging them tight. "From now on everything will be all right." With the witch's jewels, they would never be poor again, and they all lived happily ever after. I'm glad they defeated the two wicked characters in this story, the wicked stepmother and the wicked witch, and now Hansel and Gretel can live happily with their father, and they have enough money to buy food. The end. There are lots of other stories in this collection. We've read Hansel and Gretel. I wonder if you've read any of these other traditional stories, like Chicken Licken, Jack and the Beanstalk. I know you've read that one. Puss in Boots, The Enormous Turnip, Cinderella, The Ugly Duckling, we did recently, didn't we? Three Billy Goats Gruff, Three Little Pigs, and Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You all learnt those in nursery. I love reading traditional tales. Well done, everyone. I will see you all again on Monday. Bye.